Hello, I'm Simon Whistler, you're watching TopTenzNet, and in the video today we're looking at the top 10 things that you didn't know were Irish. Number 10. The tallest dogs in the world.
The Irish Wolfhound is a breed of dog that was possibly bred in Ireland as far back as 500 BC. On all fours, the dogs are about 3 feet tall. If they get up on their hind legs, they can easily go over an impressive 6.5 feet. The dogs feature in a famous Irish legend where a warrior went to visit an Irish king but was set upon by the king's wolfhound. The warrior killed the dog with his equipment for the Irish sport of hurling, a sort of aggressive mix of soccer and baseball, but was filled with so much remorse that he took the place of the king's guard dog. Despite their size and this legend, the dogs are actually very friendly and gentle.
Number 9. The design of the White House.
Most people know that there have been a few US presidents that have Irish roots, including current President Barack Obama. And by a few, I mean at least half. But not only have the Irish sat in the White House, they also designed it. James Hoban was born and raised in Ireland, and in 1792, Hoban won the competition for the design of the White House. The design is very obviously based on what is now the Irish Parliament, Leinster House. Both have a triangular pediment supported by 4 round columns, with 3 windows on multiple levels underneath and 4 on either side, with alternating round and triangular crowns above each window.
Number 8. Chips or crisps.
In 1954, Joseph Murphy invented the potato chip, or crisp, the seasoning method, and founded the company Tato, which has grown to become a major manufacturer of chips or crisps and popcorn. The first flavor invented by Murphy was cheese and onion, which may explain why it is still the most popular flavor in Ireland. Nowadays, crisps or chips are one of the biggest snacks in the world, with thousands upon thousands of flavors to choose from. And it's all thanks to Joe being a good old Irish stereotype and messing around with potatoes.
Number 7. Soda water.
Robert Percival was born in Dublin on the 30th of September 1756. Percival was an exceptionally bright youth and entered Trinity College, Ireland's oldest and most highly ranked university, at 16. He went on to Edinburgh University afterwards to study medicine before eventually returning to Dublin. In 1793, he became a lecturer of chemistry and later the very first professor of chemistry in Trinity. Then, in 1800, he developed soda water. What's strange, however, is that we've clearly established Percival as an intelligent guy, and yet, after developing the soda water, he suggested it be used for medicinal purposes.
Number 6. A lot of English words.
English words have worked their way into a lot of languages. Being one of the most spoken languages in the world, this is, of course, inevitable. Sometimes the roots can be near impossible to spot, and at other times they can be ridiculously obvious, like the French term la télévision. But there are a lot of words you say and hear every day that you most likely have no idea came from Irish. One example is galore, which comes from the Irish goleor, meaning a lot. Smithereens comes from the Irish word smiradini, but probably the most odd would be that when people say can you dig it, dig comes from the Irish word tug, which means to understand. These are just a few examples of many.
Number 5. Chocolate milk.
Chocolate milk was not just a clever ploy built up by a marketing team as a way to sell more milk to children. In fact, Sir Hans Sloane first created chocolate milk over 350 years ago. He had tasted chocolate while in the West Indies, but said it made him nauseous, so he added milk and sugar to make it more appealing. By 1700, people would often go to chocolate houses instead of coffee houses, where they could choose from a range of different chocolate milk mixes. One last interesting fact about Sir Hans is that he lived to the impressive age of 92. For someone born in 1660, that was practically unheard of. I'm not saying that chocolate milk is the elixir of life, but that is, in fact, exactly what I'm saying.
Number 4. Modern submarines.
John Philip Holland was a proper Irishman, born on the West Coast to an Irish-speaking family and only learning English at 18. Having been experimenting with submerging and explosives since 1858, it took almost 30 years for Holland to get a submarine built. In 1875, after emigrating to the US, he submitted his blueprints to the US Navy, who turned them down. A few years later, the Fenians took an interest in his designs. They were a group of American-based Irish Republicans, and by 1881, they launched the Fenian Ram, a basic submarine. Over the following years, Holland continued to improve his designs, launched the first long-distance submarine in 1897, and sold it to the US Navy in 1900.
Number 3. Polar bears.
That's right, our endangered Arctic friends have their roots in Ireland, making them the only example in history of somebody leaving Ireland because it was too hot. A recent study conducted on fossils and over 200 bears from 14 locations showed that polar bears are descendants of Irish brown bears. Polar bears share a DNA sequence with the Irish brown bear that is found in no other bears on Earth. The sequence in question is passed down by female bears and is now in every polar bear alive. However, with the onset of global warming, the habitat of the polar bear is declining, and the bears are being forced to withdraw inland. Scientists speculate that the bears will begin to breed with other bears, creating a new hybrid.
Number 2. Color photography.
John Jolly was born in 1857 in County Offaly. He graduated with first-class honours from Trinity College in Dublin. When he wasn't busy estimating the Earth's age based on sodium levels in the ocean, John enjoyed trying to estimate the Earth's age based on radium levels in the Earth's crust. Yeah, so he wasn't exactly the most exciting guy in the world, but he did give us an unparalleled gift, the ability to embarrass our friends and family with mortifying pictures. The Jolly color process was the first method capable of developing color images using just one photographic plate. The method involved using 3 filters on a single glass plate, then using plates ruled with thin lines in red, yellow, and blue to view the photo.
Number 1. Radiotherapy for Cancer.
John Jolly was born in 1857 in County Offaly. He graduated with... not this guy again. There's not really too much else of interest to introduce him with this time, so I'll just tell you that he was an extremely prominent physicist and published over 270 scientific papers. The man's personal ad just writes itself, but nerdy as he may have been, Jolly did make a big contribution to medical science when he discovered a way to isolate radium and use it to fight cancer, known as the Dublin method. Nowadays, different cancers in different stages and different parts of the body will be treated with different methods, but one of the biggest steps forward in modern medicine came from the same island where polar bears took color pictures of Irish wolfhounds inventing potato chips while drinking a delicious mixture of chocolate milk and soda water, or well, something like that.
So I really hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please do give us a thumbs up below, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, because we put out brand new videos just like this every day of the week. Also, if you feel like it, leave us a comment below to let us know what you think, and thank you for watching.